Welcome to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, where you can hear your favorite performers talk about how they got started, their careers, and everything in between. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify at Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, and on my main Broadway account at Broadway_Corner on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. I'm so happy you are here. And today, after almost 2 entire years without a Here Lies Love episode, we are back talking about the new production in LA that just happened, which is so exciting. You can see, if you're watching, I have my Here Lies Love poster from the Broadway run. And so I'm so excited just to chat all about the show that I love so much. And we are talking to one of the great cast members of the most recent production. It is Kelvin Co. How are you, Kelvin?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. We're just, it's getting warmer, so that's nice. At least I'm in Boston, so LA obviously
On
is
the
very
East Coast?
sunny and
Oh my
warm.
gosh, it has been so
I
awful
was
over here.
there for spring break in LA, and I was like, this is much different from all of the snow that we've been getting this year in
Yeah,
Boston and
all of our
Coast.
East Coast cast members said the same exact thing.
It's like it's nice to, we're mirroring each other a little bit more now. It's a lot
Right.
getting better. But a little bit of background about Kelvin. Kelvin is making his regional debut with Center Theater Group and the ensemble of the entirely Filipino Here Lies Love. And previous credits include Cabaret as Bobby and the Dance Captain, 9 to 5 as Tinsworthy in the Ensemble, and also performed under Disney Live Entertainment at the Disneyland Resort and dances with multiple hip hop companies throughout Southern California. So lots of stuff to talk about there. But before we get into, the Here Lies Love it all of it all, can you just talk about like your background, where you grew up and where you went to school and how you discovered theater?
Sure. So I grew up as a Navy brat. My dad was in the Navy, so for me, I was kind of moved around everywhere my entire life. I was born in San Jose, California, and then right after that moved over to Norfolk, Virginia, then Texas for a couple years, and then Florida, Las Vegas, and then finally San Diego, California, which is where I consider my hometown. And that's also where I discovered theater. But me falling into theater was kind of a funny story. I grew up really, really shy just because moving around everywhere, I never really had that chance to like settle down and be with a group of people to kind of figure out who I am as a person. But getting into middle school, my group of friends during that time kind of pushed me to do a talent show for the first time, which surprised my family because they're like, wait, you're shy. You're going to be singing on stage? And I was like, I guess. So did that. And then after that, the director for the talent show kind of pushed me to audition for my first musical. And that's kind of where I fell into theater. Did that for about 2 years, only in school, but going into high school, my high school didn't really have a theater program, so that's kind of where I discovered dance. So then since then, I've just been dancing, and I found myself going to med school or pre-med over at UC Irvine right after, and then after my freshman year, I kind of just realized, nah, damn, this sucks. So quickly had to pivot and I just went back home to San Diego. Um, didn't really do much theater at all. But I did find myself going to auditions for Disneyland because I found a lot of my friends started working there. So after pre-med and everything, I just went back home and then I kept dancing with my dance teams in San Diego. And then I realized a lot of my friends from the dance community, at least from like the OC area, started working in Disneyland parades. So then I caught the bug and I was like, maybe I can perform for a living instead of just trying to figure out what to do. Um, so I started auditioning, and then 2016 I made it into Disneyland parades, and that's kind of where my home has been, where I've been able to kind of put out my creative outlet for the past couple years. But in 2022, I started to get a bug for wanting to perform on stage again. So I decided to go back to school just to train in theater in general, just so I could get some more my creative outlet. And I think it was during that time I had a professor who asked if I was interested in musical theater, and tried to recruit me for their musical theater program at the school. So I went and auditioned, but the auditions ended up being the same audition for their musical, that same day. The director asked if I was interested, and I said, absolutely not. Like, I have work at Disney. I don't know if I'd have time to be able to do a production at school. I'm really only here just to like train and get myself, I guess, more into theater again. But she took that as a challenge and gave me a call back from that audition, and then the rest is history. So yeah, I ended up doing or going back into theater. I made it into the musical theater program and got to study there for a bit. Um, and then I just kind of started auditioning for productions around Southern California. And then I found my way into Here Lies Love.
Talking about that, so since this is your first time being a part of Here Lies Love, obviously there were some returning cast members in the cast as well. But how did you get involved?
I This one was it was great because it felt for me it felt like a full circle moment because I remember when CTG announced their season, I saw Here Lies Love on there. Um, and for me, Here Lies Love was one of the shows where I didn't know much about it, but I did know that it was, a Filipino story. Um, so when it came to Broadway, I was trying so hard to see it. I almost came one time, but because of work schedules, I had to cancel my trip, so I couldn't actually make it to the Broadway production. I know, it was like my one regret. I was like, I should have just called out. But when I saw that TCG posted it, I saw it and I was like, you know what? I've been auditioning for a couple shows already and I still haven't landed anything. But if this is the show that is going to get me through the door, like this is the show that I'm going to audition for and I'm going to make if I haven't booked anything since. Um, so once they announced that season, or once they announced it in their season, I kind of just kept my eyes on it. And then I saw it pop up in, like the auditions portal, and then I said, okay, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna audition, and I don't care what it's gonna take. I'm gonna get myself into this show, and this is gonna be my first show that I do professionally. Um, so yeah, it was, yeah.
What was the audition process like? Like, was it, like an open call kind of vibes or like appointments and how many times did you have to go back?
I went a couple times actually. So I know they had, an EPA, and an ECC
Mm.
back in, I'm gonna say maybe early August. So I went to those, and then after a while, I saw it pop up again on Actors Access for, self submissions. My friend brought it up to me actually because I didn't see it at all, and he was just like, "Hey, that show that you auditioned for, do you know it's on Actors Access right now?" I said, "No, I did not know." So I went to look at the listing, and I was actually 2 hours past the deadline. But at that point, I was like, I haven't heard anything yet. I'm just gonna go submit. Why not? Who cares? So I did that, and then after a while, I ended up getting the EcoCast for, more self tapes. Sent another round in, and then I got called back for callbacks, and then from those callbacks, we had a dance round. They made a cut, and then we had one more round of singing, and that was it. So it was a really lengthy process. I think over the time it was from like August to maybe mid September, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh man. And then just a lot of waiting until you got to
and a
really
lot of waiting. Yes.
But, getting that call and like realizing that you're making like your regional professional debut, like what did that feel like for you?
Oh, I was sobbing. I remember I remember calling my mom, and just on FaceTime, and I'm like crying, and she's like, "Oh my God, what's wrong? Like what happened?" And I was like, "I booked my first show. My roommate is over here laughing at me and recording the whole thing too." Um, it was it was surreal because I think at this point I was not really expecting
Mm,
anything. And it was the one audition where I just felt really, really good leaving after. But in a sense
mhm,
that I was just like, I don't care what happens with this outcome. Like, for me, this was one of the best audition experiences that I've ever had in a room. And I think from there, I was just proud of how far I've come as, an actor and a performer. And I was just like, whatever happens, at least I know that the Here Lies Love audition for me was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
mhm. You could really tell like how close the company kind of became and was and like is still and like how much you
Yeah.
guys all love and care about each other was so sweet. And so what was it like stepping into that rehearsal room, getting to be in a room of Filipino actors? Like what did that feel like? Because that is a very rare occurrence in general.
So rare. No, that first day I remember I was so nervous. I was actually almost late a little bit because LA traffic is, great.
Yeah.
But I remember walking in and just seeing so many people from the same background, and it was so great. There was also way too like there was so much people, like period, for our first rehearsal because we all walked in and then all of C2G was there. They had some special guests as well, and the entire cast and the creatives were kind of just in the middle of the room. So I felt like I was out of my depth because I was like, oh my God, I am in a room with like so many people who are like, in my eyes, so established in the industry and everything. And I was like, hi, I dance in Disneyland parades. But no, yeah, it was great. And I think what I was realizing more too is the more the day went on, the more we all just were able to get so comfortable with each other so quickly. And I think it's so rare to be in a group of people like that. And I'm sure you've heard it from like all our social media and everything. We always say that we feel like we're just cousins that are meeting up at a Filipino party to just be like, hey, you know what? Let's put on a show together. And from day one all the way until the end, that is exactly what the vibes were like.
Yeah, and I know that's like similar to because I also got to interview a ton of people from the Broadway production, years ago, a couple years ago, and like it was the same vibes, I think, of like everyone was just like, oh, we're here for life, like, and
Yeah.
like it is the vibe of you said like a Filipino party. I'm not personally Filipino, I'm Taiwanese, but I grew up going to Filipino parties like in my childhood, just like all my dad's friends, from work and stuff like that. And so I was like, yeah, I can totally see the vibes there. And, it's just
Yeah,
the
it's
legal vibes.
yeah, it's just the shared experiences and like a lot of the times you don't really know you're missing a part of your life in like the social aspects, and then you're suddenly put in a room with people who understand you completely and you're like, "Oh my God, I can like actually be myself."
Yeah. And I feel like that's the experience for so many, not just Filipino, but like Asian actors in general, of like when we do find each other, it's like, oh, I know you. You see me and I see you in a very different way than anyone else
Right.
does. And it's just that pure understanding of like, okay, we can just be together and just exist in this space that hasn't always been kind to us. And just the fact that we were able to get another all Filipino cast for this production was just kind of mind blowing because they did it for Broadway, and then when they announced it at Almonds, like it's Center Theater Group, I was like, okay, I wonder like if that's gonna happen again or not,
Hmm.
and it somehow did, and I think that is just really what everyone needed at this point in where we are.
Yeah, and honestly, after this closed on Broadway, I was just like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna see a full cast of Filipinos like on a stage again.
Hmm.
So it was really nice to walk in that room and see everyone and just be like, oh my God, I think I'm home.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can totally see that. And being in the show, do you have a favorite moment to either perform or to watch or to hear if you're quick changing, just anything?
Oh my gosh. Um, God, this is so hard. I feel like for sure, God Draws Straight, our finale, will always be that one moment for me where I'm just like, this is this is why I do this. This is why I pursued theater. This is why I want to be out there on these stages. And just I feel like our finale was just a good way to represent our people, you know, breaking everything down, like just acoustic, and it's just us on stage, like all 17 of us. Yeah. Um, there's 20 total, but three of them weren't there. I just felt like it's that moment for me where I can just see all my castmates and then look out and actually sing to the audience and kind of connect with them in that way. So I feel like God Draw Straight will always have that moment of it being my favorite. I will say Child of the Philippines, always so fun to do. I get to live out my boy band fantasy with Josh and all the other Barong boys. And then I think Please Don't is also super fun to do.
Yes, yeah.
Although that playoff does get the boys every single night. I
Mhm.
I just know every time we run off, we're just staring at each other like, why is this happening?
Yeah, that's a
But I mean, right. Shout out to William and UJ though, because that choreography is amazing, even though it kicked our butts every single night. Um, but yeah, I don't know. There's so many good parts in this show, but I'm gonna stick to those because I'm just gonna keep rambling if I keep talking.
And that's okay too. But yeah, this show just has, it's so fast and furious the way that it moves, and every single part of it is so like interesting and traps
Yeah.
you and like really gets you. And so I don't know how you could really pick, but just to see like what you said about God Draws Straight, like when you all come out in those barongs, like it's so powerful just to see everyone just like stripping it down and being like, okay, this is what we're really talking about.
Oh my
Um,
God, yes. Those
just,
barongs too. Just the outfits in the show, just everything.
oh my
Like
God,
I have
they're
never seen so many barongs and Filipinianas out on stage at once. It was so incredible. And shout
when
out to
was
Noble
it?
Creations. Oh my gosh.
Yes, 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 so good. But what was your favorite costume then? Was it the barong or was it something else?
Oh gosh. The final barong for sure is my favorite costume.
Mm.
Again, shout out to Noble Creations. That design was so great and I wanted to keep my costume so bad. Um, but I think the American Troglodyte outfits in the beginning too,
Those are really
like the
fun.
Filipino tracksuit, also another costume that I just wanted to squeeze, like shove into my bag and walk out and just be like, I don't have it. But yeah, there's
Just,
so many great costumes.
just see you on the street walking around in those costumes.
Right. um, but a costume that that I don't wear at all, but is one of my favorite ones. It had to be Imelda's like chartreuse outfit from Please Don't. Like that dress with the butterfly sleeves. It's gorgeous in the light.
Yeah. Oh my God, costume design went absolutely insane with this one. It was crazy. Um, what was it like kind of creating this new, I guess, version of the show? What did it feel like creating a new musical or like did it feel, how did it feel to reinvent it, I guess?
Yeah, so going in, I didn't realize exactly how much of the show was going to change.
Hmm.
In the end, I didn't realize it until like halfway through the process, but in the end, we essentially created a brand new show.
Hmm.
Like the skeleton was there with the music and everything, but in terms of like the setup, we changed so much from the original past few iterations of it being in a nightclub and then changing it into um, like a noontime show in the Philippines, which we all grew up watching. It felt correct with where the show is in Los Angeles. Like it felt very unapologetically Filipino. So getting into that process and knowing that it was fun, but it was a lot of hard work. Um, I will say it was very long days. It was 3 days of, I guess, just table reads just to dissect everything and talk about where the direction of the show is going. We had a lot of like concept art just taped all around our studios. So it was interesting to see that process. Um, and everyone was just so great and on board with making changes whenever we had to, and just I think that's what helped that process be a lot smoother. It was just everyone was just so down to do whatever we wanted to do and make this world like come to life the way we wanted to make it, for ourselves and in a way that made sense to us. And I think just with that, because everyone was kind of just on the same wavelength, creating the show from the ground up in a completely new and different way was really just fun. It just felt like we were playing every time we would come into the rehearsal studios every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really kind of made it something very accessible, I guess, with the TV aspect of it. And I thought that was such a smart choice to make. And it really was just so, I guess, comfortable for the audience to watch me like, oh, okay, I kind of get this. And it made it a little more easily to like understand. Because I think, with Broadway, it was very, again, like fast and furious, like, oh, we're just gonna keep going. And then you kind of have to catch up to the train. But with this production, I thought like there was a lot of things taken from Broadway that like were kind of hinted on before, to kind of allow for easier, I guess, internalization of the material just because it is so crazy fast. And like there were
Yes.
so little things that I could see that like made so much sense when I saw it like again in LA.
Yeah, and I know we were able to use a lot of our set design. Shout out to Arnell, amazing set designer. But with our projection screens on top, with all like the graphics and being able to introduce like characters and kind of give like plot points and timelines, I think that also helped us build this world too. Because then at that point we knew exactly where we were. The audience knew exactly where we were and what we were doing and the time and place and everything. So that definitely helped,
Yeah,
kind of shape how our world was gonna look like.
yeah, definitely. Well, my next question is about Filipino food and what is your favorite?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Um, Filipino spaghetti will hands down be one of my favorite foods. But I think um, kare kare is my all-time favorite. Like that one I can eat anytime. It's a peanut-based stew, and it's just very like homey and comforting. And
Mm.
yeah, every time I eat it, I feel like I'm home. And then like if I ever get homesick, I'll always try to make or like buy some somewhere. So kare
Yeah.
kare, hands down my favorite.
Yeah, and like when you say Filipino spaghetti, I always think of either my tita Gigi would make it or like Jollibee. And I'm like, we don't
Yep.
have a Jollibee here in Boston, and so it makes me so sad because I'm like, I would either have to make it or just like not have it until I go back home. But I'm like, dang, I could really
Oh my gosh,
miss.
please tell me you were able to get some Filipino food when you were here in LA.
I I don't remember if I did it or not. I don't actually remember. I mostly just eat Asian food in general, so
I
like.
mean, fair. It's so good. How can you not?
I don't remember if I got specifically Filipino though. I was only there for like a week, so it was just kind of like too many things
Just not enough
happening.
time. Yeah.
I did have it. I did go to Jollibee though when I was in. Oh wait, I did have Jollibee when I went to. I'm from Bakersfield, so I went. I did have Jollibee there, and I also had it when I went to New York like a couple months ago. It was like it's just a staple in my brain.
Right.
But with you in the show and with the cast, like what were the foods that you guys tended to bond over the most? Because I know with Broadway, they had a lot of potlucks, and at one point they had a lechon backstage, which is like I don't think that's ever happened in the history of Broadway to have a full lechon backstage on Broadway. Um, but I know you guys all love to eat and like celebrate together. So what was something that you bonded over?
My gosh, there was so much food almost every single day with this cast. Um, there's always treats, like baked goods like pandesal or ensamadas, mamons from like Red Ribbon. There's so much that we would bring in as a cast, even for just like snacks.
Mhm,
But what was even sweeter was we had so much food sent to us too, just by like
mhm,
friends and family. Creatives, we had people from the original cast on Broadway sending us treats as well. So it really did just feel like a Filipino party every single day, just coming into work and then like seeing the counter full of food. And someone's always texting in the group chat that every time they'll come in, they'll be like, hey, I brought this, go grab some. And then all you hear is just all the rooms from the dressing room doors just opening up and everyone running downstairs to the green room just to get it. Um, Josh would bring in this Filipino dessert all the time that we were obsessed with. I came in with spam musubis. It's so hard to like pick a favorite. Um, but I will say, UJ, one of our associate choreographers, it was her birthday during Tech Week, and she ordered Filipino like she ordered Jollibee for everyone, like the whole cast and crew. So that was like one of the best and most memorable dinners that I could ever remember
Mhm.
from our time on the show. So I'm gonna say that.
Food is really what unites Asian people, I feel like some maybe the most. Just
Yeah,
like
I feel like it's our love language. Like,
oh yes,
yeah, what's
100%.
one of like the easiest ways for us to be able to show affection and show that we care is food.
Yeah. I mean, in at least in like a Taiwanese household, it's like you go to your like your Ama's house and she's like, "Did you eat yet? Like, do you want food?" Like that's just like the first thing we'd say to each other, and not even like, "How are you? What's going on?" It's like, "No, you have to
Yes,
eat."
did you eat?
Yeah, did you eat?
You look like you
Um,
don't eat. Here, come here. Get a plate. I'm like,
like, let me
okay.
make you a bowl. Yeah.
Right.
Like you're getting too skinny, you have to eat more. And then like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then you eat, and then they're like, watch out. And you're like, you told me to eat.
You're like, you got what you asked for. But I remember like when I went, it was one of the days that they had like a talk back, and then they had like ube cookies in the lobby or something, and I was like,
Oh
this
my
is
God,
great. I was like, this is
cafe.
exactly what I wanted.
Let me tell you, Here Lies Love, like this production introduced me to Cafe 86, and they're like a Filipino owned cafe that specializes in ube. So the ube crinkle cut cookies were every time they came out with a talkback, just don't look in my bag because you will see a handful of those.
No, they were so good. And just, yeah, oh man. I was so glad. Like, it was such a happy surprise that they were there too. And I was like, oh, yes, like, okay, this is what I wanted. This is exactly, what I feel like the spirit of the show just kind of is. Um, and so for you, is kind of maybe assuming this is the first time you've gotten to play like a Filipino character, I guess, in a show. Like, what did that feel like to really be able to express your culture through your art?
I didn't realize how much of an impact being able to just be Filipino on stage was going to be for me until I guess I made it out onto like our first tech rehearsal. Um, I just seeing all of our faces on stage and just being unapologetically Filipino and not having to like allude to it or do the character breakdown work behind the scenes, be like, what am I, who am I, like, what is my background, and just being able to just put it out there for everyone to see. It was so incredible. um and then I think it was just not being or not having to hide the fact that I'm Filipino was something that for me just felt like such a big deal because then I would go out every night and then I would see all the barongs, I'd see all the Filipinanas, I'd see like all these family members bringing their small kids coming to watch the show, and I'm just like, I see you, you see me, like the show is for us. So just being able to portray myself and being Filipino on stage, it just meant the world to me. And I didn't realize how much of a deal it was going to be. No,
But I mean, it
no.
is like the biggest deal ever.
Right.
Like,
Because I
and
think,
that is so celebrated. So you go.
yeah, because I think just like being a performer, it a lot of the times you don't like. I feel like backgrounds and like ethnicities and everything, it kind of falls secondary to whatever character role that you're portraying. Like you don't really think about it when you're performing, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, but every night it was just like, I am Filipino. Like that is first and foremost, I am Filipino, and
Hmm.
this is the show. So it was insane. Yeah.
Yeah. And having the show breaking like the expectation of like being the highest grossing I think show at the Marte per Forum. What did that feel like to be like, oh, this is a show that maybe didn't do so well on Broadway as much as we had hoped, but finding a true audience in LA and being for people who were meant to see it. What did that feel like?
I I just remember being in that room when Snehal, our director, he came in and he was just like, "Hey, so you know you guys are the highest grossing show in Mark Taper history," and all of us in that room were kind of just like stunned. It was kind of hard to believe because I think at that point we were just like already in the groove of things, and we were just doing a show that we all loved and stood behind, and that was it for us, I guess. Like there wasn't really anything more than us wanting to perform and tell our story for these people. So then for us to hear that we actually had that impact in LA, I think it was just one of those moments where it's just hard to believe because then you're like, what do you mean? We're just we're just here just to perform and like share our stories and be with each other. Like we had no indication that this was happening. Um, I think it's just very like fulfilling
Yeah.
to know that like something that we just enjoyed doing had this much of an impact for our community. It was yeah,
Thank
it's
goodness,
crazy.
because now it's going to open up more doors of opportunity because, when something does well like this, then people look at it and are like, oh, okay, I guess Asian stories can be successful. Filipino stories can be successful. And,
Yeah.
it opens the door for other avenues to open up and for other people to get to feel exactly what you're feeling, which is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And just having the realm of possibilities opening up. I made like the post about how there were like four different Asian shows in LA going on, and I was like,
Oh
this
my
is
gosh.
this is crazy. You have
The
Dragon
AAPI
Boy.
representation over these like last few weeks in Los
Mhm.
Angeles has been so nice to see.
It's like you had Here Lies Love, you had Dragon Mama, you had Kim's Convenience, which I got to see when they were here in Boston and talking to Ince and everyone, and then having Flower Drum Song coming
Yeah.
soon. It's like I don't think that's ever happened anywhere except for maybe in Asia, where it's a
Right.
society and everyone is Asian, so it's not
Yeah.
necessarily groundbreaking. But for this to happen somewhere like where I grew up, in LA seeing theater, for that to happen and kind of take over the city, I guess, in a way. It was so inspiring, I think, to me and so many others, just being like, oh, okay, this is like for us. This is something that we can do and that is accessible. Yeah, and to see how you guys were interacting with the Kim's cast too, like that was
Oh my
so
gosh, I love that cast so much. They are some of the nicest humans in the world, and they're just so fun to hang out and meet and get to know. So every Saturday, we would have a barbecue, like a cast and crew barbecue, over at the CTG Annex right next door. So it's our like rehearsal space.
Mhm.
So we invited them on our last barbecue, and it was nice to just be able to sit down with with people who are like similar, like you guys all know what it is to be in theater, and for them they're just like traveling around. So it was nice to sit down and like pick their brain about things and just get to know them as people. And yeah, it was
Yeah.
it's so cool to be their neighbors for the couple of weeks that we were both there for.
Yeah, and it's cool that like, someone who maybe is like a subscriber or whatever to Center Theater Group like gets to go and now gets to see two different Asian stories on stage, and it's not just the one of like the year. It's like, oh, we get to see all the intricacies of being, Asian Canadian in their show as well. And like and then, go see other things around town as well. And
Right.
whereas like we get to have our own personal experiences. Or like you go to see Dragon Mama and like that's a whole other experience too, even though it's still under the Filipino like story.
Hmm.
It's cool having Asians seen as more um what's the word I'm looking for? Like having multitudes of stories and personalities and not just having to be
Yeah.
a thing anymore. It's like we get to be expansive. We get to be more than just the stories that you've normally seen us do.
Hmm.
And so LA, I'm like, LA is the place for Asians in theater right
LA
now.
is doing something right. I will
Yeah,
say.
they definitely are. And so what do you hope audiences like ultimately learn from Here Lies Love?
I remember in one of the talkbacks, I remember telling everyone because I got the same kind of question that like with this show, um, as controversial as it can be, with some people, I I think the main takeaway from Here Lies Love is that we want to be able to start these conversations, um, however uncomfortable they may be. So for me, going into Here Lies Love, I honestly didn't really know much about martial law, and that history in the Philippines. Like both my parents are from the Philippines. My dad was in Manila. My mom was in Pangasinan. So they both lived through this era of time. We didn't really talk about it, and it was just one of those things where because I had so little information coming into the show and then actually sitting down doing those table reads and finding out the actual history and seeing how some of our cast members have family members who are part of that history, and them themselves were part of that history. It's really eye-opening, and it's one of those things where you want to be able to talk about it. So with Here Lies Love, we want to be able to start those conversations with people. We want to be able for someone to go into the show and be like, I did not know this was happening. Let me talk to my family. Let me do more research. Let me learn more about the history of our people, and just educate ourselves. His One of the things that Snehal would tell us and tell the audiences is that he wanted to do the show because of how timely it is, unfortunately. Because a lot of what was happening back then, we're starting to see bits and pieces of it happening right now, um, in our lives, whether here in the United States or back over in the Philippines. And it's just essentially a blueprint for what not to do.
Yeah.
And yet it's happening again.
Yeah.
So as whatever thoughts anyone may have over Here Lies Love, I think I want people to walk away knowing that when it comes down to it, um, the people are stronger than the people in power.
Oh, it's beautiful. And just the fact that I think it's if you look at the show and you see the show first, and you're able to really understand like what the show is trying to say. It really is all of that, and maybe not all the noise that people have kind of said about it without maybe having all the information yet. And it's like the people who do get to see it appreciate it and love it and understand it in a very certain way. Because I think it's interesting because the most recent show I did was You're in Town, which is a Brechtian kind of piece, and I didn't realize also kind of how Brechtian Here Lies Love was in the sense of like calling out the audience and like talking directly to them and like all of those kind of things that I had never really thought about before. But it's interesting, and so that kind of brings me to talk about one more thing with you getting to bring people up on stage during the show. Carol told me that she told you guys to bring me up when I was there. I was like, oh my God, I was not
And that
expecting.
is so the funny thing with that every single night, that is how it goes. If any of us have any friends or family in the audience, immediately it goes in the group chat and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, For Fabulous One, my people are sitting here if you need people to take up, or this person is sitting here if you need someone to take up. So it's funny because you walk out, and then if you're watching us and not Josh as Aquino doing his, speech and all of his songs on the screen because he's in the Voms in the house doing this, you see all of the ensemble cast members kind of just like looking around and trying to figure out who we're taking up and not paying attention to Josh at all. um, yeah, sorry, but yeah. So every night we'd just be able to take people up, and I think because the show we can't really do the past iterations where we kind of gut the theater and turn it into a dance space, and then everyone is now immersed
Yeah.
into or like a part of it. We wanted to be able to bring some sort of interactivity and immersion as well. So Fabulous One felt like the right time to do it because then we were able to take people up and have them join our revolution for a bit before kind of throwing him off the deep end into the rest of the show.
Yeah, because oh man, just goes all sorts of ways from there. I remember like when it happened, I was like, well, okay, I'm on the stage and there's Josh and I'm watching and it's like a
Yeah,
show.
see, and
Like,
congratulations on your Mark Taper debut because you
oh,
I was
thank
able to
you,
bring you
thank
up when I
you,
saw you.
thank you. But it was so funny because like knowing the show, also like knowing the music and the songs, like I started singing along immediately. But then I like turned around, I was like, oh, there's lots of other people around me too, like who probably have no idea what's going on. Um, and the most funny part was at the end when you guys all like on the like the button, I guess, of the song. I think all did like a point up to the sky or something. But me being me and having seen the show on Broadway like 7 times, immediately went to the Laban sign, and then I was like, oh wait, that's not what we're doing. Okay.
Oh my
So yeah,
gosh. When
yeah.
I see, because I was next to you the whole time this was happening. So when I saw you do that, I said, yep, yep, she knows.
Because that's how they did it, I think, on Broadway, and like how I had seen it a bunch of times. And so when it
Mm.
changed, I was like, oh shoot, okay, this isn't that we're not there yet, but we'll get there. And so it was
I
just
do
like,
remember, I think during rehearsals, that was like, one of our questions too. Was like, is it a point? Is it Laban? Like, what do you want us to do? And I think
yeah,
ultimately we just decided on the point so we can leave the Laban for the end.
yeah. But it was just like a whole shocking moment. I was like, oh, okay, okay, I got it. I'm with you. But it was like the coolest thing because I think Fabulous One is like one of out of every single amazing song in the show, I think that is like probably my favorite. Um, Besides like God Draw Straight and like seeing, Conrad do it and then now seeing and Aaron Akaraz, who I also saw do it a couple times, and then seeing like now Josh coming back to a role and getting to do it again is so inspiring to just like see the different ways that this revolution has really just been taken. Um, yeah, but to
The
kind of wrap
show like really had a life.
I mean, it's been I think the original was in like 2013, maybe. Can't
I
quite
think so, yeah.
remember. But yeah, it's been like a 13-year journey of like different iterations, having gone to like London, Seattle, like Broadway, and then now to LA. It just that all feels like this story that'll hopefully just keep going on and hopefully more productions in the future, just elsewhere. But to wrap up, what does representation mean to you?
Oh man. You gotta end it with the heavy hitting questions, huh?
I have to. I just have to.
For me, representation, I feel like it's being able to feel comfortable. And I think with this show, it really helped me kind of discover what representation meant to be, or meant to me. And it's really just being able and being allowed to just be unapologetically you. Um, and I think with Here Lies Love, like our production specifically, we did not shy away from being able to be Filipino and just loud Filipino, like not any subtle hints, not any like this is what we are, don't reference it. Like it was just very much loud and in your face, and I think it was just very healing. And so yeah, I think representation is just being allowed to unapologetically and authentically be yourself in a room where you normally aren't.
The word that you used of comfortable. That sounds like it shouldn't be a big ask, but somehow it is.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, that ability to just be entirely yourself and be seen by people who understand you and being able to help others understand your experience as well. I think with audience members who we're Filipino, we're not anything. It's just, and having that ability to be, again, unapologetically Filipino and Asian and share that with the community was such a beautiful thing. And like, I could not stop like smiling when I saw the show and I was like, this is so cool. Also having like, it'd been almost like maybe 2.5 years since I had seen it the last time. And, to see familiar faces like Carol and Rianne and Sarah and like all these people and to see them like, again, getting to live out this dream of just getting to be themselves was so
Yeah.
fulfilling. And so, just congratulations on everything, I guess. And
Thank you.
big, big achievement. And just for this to be your regional debut, it's like, I don't think you could ask for much more. It's like, it's the
No, this
dream.
was 100% a dream come true for me. It was insane. It honestly kind of like we only closed 2 weeks ago, but it already feels like it was a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy show too. You're just nonstop the entire time, so I'm sure it just felt like, like a tornado
It was a
coming.
whirlwind for sure.
And, but Kelvin, is there anything else you'd want to share with the audience or just say about the show and about your experience?
Um, just keep supporting live theater, keep supporting the arts. I hope with our production we're able to give Here Lies Love just multiple new lives somewhere out there. I would love to see the show come back in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, like Filipino stories, there aren't a lot for us to tell, but I feel like the ones that we do have the opportunity to give out and share with the world, we should be able to in any capacity. So here's to hoping Here Lies Love has more life out there.
And in new productions too, I think with this one, it kind of really broke the mold from the previous ones and really just showed everything that it could be. Both productions are so beautiful and incredible, but it's like, oh, there's so many different possibilities with this
Yeah,
one.
there's so many different ways to do it, and I think Snehal did such an amazing job with being able to show us that you can take a work and completely revamp it to fit where you are.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, LA was the perfect place for it at this time. I remember when I realized it lined up with my spring break, I was like, perfect, I'll get to see
Just already plotting from day one.
it. I was like, Dad, look at this. Okay, I want to go on, we'll go on this day. I literally got in like the day before and then went the next day and I was like, yes, this is like, covering my jet lag, hopefully. Um, but
No, you
Kelvin,
didn't show it at all. I mean, you were out on stage singing and dancing with us, so I mean, you look great.
thank you. I, got whatever sleep I could before, this show means so much to me. So it's like I don't think I could have shown up in any other way. But Kelvin, it's been such a pleasure getting to talk to you. Thank you for being on the pod and just sharing all about this
Oh
show
my
that,
gosh, thank you for having
means so
me.
much. And to everyone listening, please make sure that you follow Kelvin on Instagram. Just continue to follow his journey and support him as much as you can. Um, Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.